The person who's bringing our invocation tonight, her name is Mary. She is on the prayer team with Williamston Mount Hope Church. And she's going to bring our invocation tonight.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to just take this off my brace so you can understand me.
Thank you.
Then I'll put it back on. But trust me, the blood of Jesus covers us, so I'm good. All right. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm happy to be able to help in this way. I understand Randy and Steve, the new people are here tonight. It's wonderful to have everybody that can showing up in person when we're able. So if you don't mind, let's just bow our heads and we'll start off your meeting with some prayer. Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus and thank you that as we celebrate this Easter season that celebrates Jesus' death and resurrection, we're reminded that your word tells us that you so loved this world that you gave. You gave your very best gift, and that gift was your own begotten Son. Thank you that you did that so we could have a relationship with you again. Thank you, Lord, that if we believe in Jesus and receive him as our Savior, we know we'll go to heaven when we leave this earth. And your word says that if we ask, you'll give wisdom to anyone who asks without finding fault. Thank you, Lord. I ask for wisdom for this body as they make the decisions they have to make. And I ask that you would guide them as they govern and direct this meeting and this community, Lord. That they would govern and direct it in righteousness so that the citizens of Perry can live in peace, Lord God. We ask that you give them the mind of Christ, that every thought they have, every word that's spoken, every decision that's made is something that's ordained by you and blessed by you. And we thank you, Lord, that they're obedient to those things and they're leading this community as you intend. I thank you for raising up such good and godly people to lead this town of Perry. Thank you, Lord, for continuing to bless them in this meeting and also in their lives. We give you glory, honor, praise, and thank you for it, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Mary.
Thanks for having me.
Mary. Got him? He's here. Meeting is now called to order at 7:07 p.m. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll proceed to the roll call. Deborah?
Mindy Galbavy. Here. Adam Grass.
Here.
Larry Lambert.
Here.
Bob Porter.
Here.
Mayor Sue Hammond.
Here.
All is accounted for. Nobody absent.
I'm asking council if we can move to new business mayor's appointments to ask you to consider 2 appointments for council seats and then resume the agenda accordingly.
Can I
Yes.
do one thing that
You
I
may.
forgot? Mr. Grass,
Yes.
for attending virtually, I need to ask what city you are at, what county you are at currently attending.
I am in Perry, Michigan, Shiawassee County.
Thank you. Sorry.
That's okay. Council, is that acceptable to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we will move ahead to new business mayor's appointments. I'd like to introduce to those of you who might not know him, Steve Wallace. Steve has agreed to serve in one of our vacant council seats. He lives at 431 Northeast Street. And we appreciate him bringing his experience of 10 years on council or 8 years on council and 4 years as mayor in the past of the city of Perry. So we thank you for that, but I do need council to approve the appointment.
I move that we approve the mayor's appointment of Steve Wallace to the council.
Second.
It's been moved by Larry and seconded by Bob to approve Steve's appointment. Do we need to do a roll call vote because of,
Yes.
okay? So I need roll call vote. Mindy Galvin,
Yes.
Adam Grass,
Yes.
Larry Lambert,
Yes.
Bob Porter.
Yes.
The motion passes. Welcome to the council,
Thank you
Steve.
very much.
I'd also like to introduce to you Randy Coffey. He has agreed to serve in our other vacant council seat. Randy's co-owner of Amy's Diner here in Perry with his wife Amy. And he also is a member of Modern Woodman and brings a lot of experience in community service to our seat here. So Randy, we appreciate you being willing to do that. And I would ask for council's approval of that appointment.
I move that we approve the mayor's appointment of Randy Coffey to the council.
Second?
It's been moved by Larry, seconded by Mindy, to approve the appointment of Randy Coffey to council. Again, a roll call vote. Mindy Galvin,
Yes.
Adam Grass,
Yes.
Larry Lambert,
Yes.
Bob Porter.
Yes.
Welcome to the council, Randy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we can move back to our regular agenda, which would have us approving the agenda. Yep, I have.
Council and Deb, Mayor, before you go on, I appreciate council's giving me graciousness in this. I'm going to have to step out of this meeting now because I got some work stuff. That's the reason I'm not there tonight. And so I appreciate you guys accommodating and welcome both Steve and another council member there. We're looking forward to working with you, and we will see you next meeting.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, but I didn't hear anything he said. I forgot I lost my connection when I texted him.
Adam said, thank you for understanding. He has prior great engagements and must step out at this time. Congratulations to Randy and Steve.
Okay.
And your time of him stepping out, I have 7:10. Would you agree?
7:10. Adam is leaving the meeting at 7:10, but now we have 2 new council members, so we have a quorum.
And with a quorum and all present, we don't have to do roll call.
Okay. So now we don't have to do roll call anymore, having everybody in the room. But we will move to the next agenda item, which is approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
Moved by Bob, seconded by Larry, that we approve the agenda and adopt as printed. All those in favor signify by saying yes or aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. So moving on in the agenda, reading and approval of the minutes of 2 previous meetings, the special town hall meeting and our regular city council meeting.
I move that we suspend the rules, waive the reading, and approve the minutes from the March 18, 2021 regular and special meeting.
Second.
Been moved by Mindy and seconded by Larry that we move ahead and approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, motion passes. So we are now to the point where we can talk about what happens during a public hearing for those that may be new to. We have a public hearing tonight regarding the USDA grant. And this allows us time to review the grant, but allow the public to speak to any concerns or questions that they might have in regard to that. I think everybody has that information in their packet. Anybody need a copy of that, or are you all set there? Okay,
I read it. I don't have it with me, but I read it.
okay, so you're good? But we can't start this until 7:15, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, clerk, okay.
Do
So
your
let's-
bill list?
We could do our bills,
Oh, I have one communication. I can do that in 2 minutes.
okay, go ahead with that.
First of all, In your packets, you should have gotten a copy of the updated map. And we'll bring on our next 2 new council people to put them on the map and give them instructions. I've already communicated with Dory, and with everything else that we'll be giving them, we will consult with them and get them added to the map. And then Dory has a flyer that she handed to me. You all should have been handed that tonight, not in your packet. Community-wide yard sale, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Welcome spring. Friday, May 14th through Sunday, May 16th. And also the cleanup week is Monday, May 17th through Friday, May 21st. Deadline to pre-register for pickup is 12 noon Friday, May 14th. I'm sorry, the yard sales, the deadline is to be included on the sales map is Friday, May 7th. This is very important to be included on the map and in order to get it out to the public. That's it.
Very good. I think 7:15 will now open the public hearing regarding the USDA grant. Is there anyone here that wants to address council concerning that grant?
If there's anybody on Zoom that want to speak about this, you may unmute or raise your hand if you know how to do that.
John, would you mind shutting those blinds? Thank you. There we go. Nobody for public hearing statements regarding the public hearing for the grant?
Can we get some information on what this grant is for those that are not familiar with it?
I think we could. Who in this room could give us that information? Leanne. Leanne Cullimore,
I thought you could get out of it.
our deputy treasurer, could.
This is our deputy treasurer, Leanne Cullimore.
All right. I'm the first to speak again. I'm not sure how this happened. All right, so this is a USDA, United States Department of Agricultural Rural Development grant that Kina, I'm not going to say her last name, but Kina, she called us and she has been pursuing us over this. With grants, there are stipulations, and sometimes I feel like it kind of ties our hands a little bit, but she was very persistent, and so we decided to go ahead and pursue that. So what happened is we started out with an application guide, which just gave us 12 bullet points of things that we needed to do. A part of that would be audit report, operation budget, other documents, notice of public hearing for tonight, and sending in minutes. So there's a lot of different things that we have to do. But this is a grant for equipment. So it's for the police and it's also for the DPW. And per our medium household income, the city of Perry is eligible for 35% of the total project cost, not to exceed $50,000. So, so for the police, they wanted a police car and for police vest. In the past, they have leased the police car. And that was one of the stipulations, that if we took this grant, it had to be purchased outright. So that was a stipulation that we were kind of thinking about. And then we did a second application for John for the DPW, and it was a subcompact tractor with attachments, and John, yours was about 31, right? A little bit over 31,000, okay. So, and then again, it has to be purchased outright. So Keena told us, go ahead and put priority on one of those. And so we put priority on the police, and we sent in all of our paperwork, we got everything squared away. And then they have 3 disbursements of cash. We missed the first one, I believe the first one was in February, but they have done everything that they need on their end. They call it grading, or they look at a lot of different things and grade it and put it in order as to how they're going to give the money out. And then we're waiting to hear if we qualify for the second round. So that would be for the police. And if that does happen, then I believe the 35% that will be given toward the purchase would be $17,500. So total cost for police is $50,000 minus the $17,500 would give us $32,500 to come out of budget for that. Keena also, she said it's never a guarantee of dollars when we submit our application, but she said no one has been refused, and she said you have neighboring communities that are using our resources, and we would like to see you have some of that money as well. So that's why we pursued that. There is a rule that we have to wait to be approved for purchase. We cannot be reimbursed for the purchase as well. So I think in a nutshell, that's what the grant is.
Now that you've gotten that good information, does anyone have any questions for Leanne concerning this grant? Or grants, as the case may be.
Just another side note too. So I think we will possibly see some money for the for their second disbursement, but I also think that maybe John will get some as well, because they do have a third disbursement. And so anything that wasn't picked up on the first and second, then the third disbursement is for things that didn't get funded. And like I say, she said that nobody has not gotten funded, so in some way, shape, or form. So I think we'll probably see money on both projects.
May I ask a question? So are we only initially putting in for one grant or for both of these grants?
We are putting in for both grants with police as priority at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah, it fell in between 2 budgets, and we were like, should we, shouldn't we? And so we just decided, after Keena talked with us, she was like, we can do this, we can work this out. So after talking with her, we decided to just go ahead and put that in and to see what would happen, because we don't know for sure.
Anybody else have questions? Okay, I'll close the public hearing.
Good job.
Good job, Leanne, thank you. Good job. Moving on to the next agenda item, we have pre-approved reports or presentations. Do we have any?
I see Leland. Did you come here for a pre-approved report, sir?
No, I'm coming to see about the zoning thing.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't know of any reports
Okay,
tonight.
so we'll move on to public comments. Is anyone here for public comment? Do keep in mind that we've changed the guidelines for that. It's a 5-minute limit now. Council is allowed to discuss back and forth. We'll move on then to mayor and department head reports. The only thing I wanted to bring up, I'll say it again, please be sure to project, to speak up when you do talk during the meeting so that you can be heard on the video. Any department head reports that want to be made at this time? John?
So we're planning to flush fire hydrants. We're coming back into that warmer weather season the week of April 19th through the 22nd. We'll be starting north and east of the railroad tracks and over in the by the school section month that way. And then we'll take 4 days and work our way back towards where I'm flushing a little bit different. I did get one budgetary proposal back for the library. As far as the exterior wise, and it can be modified. I just got it today. New front windows, door, from everything from the overhang to the sidewalk surface. The one company that's gotten back with me, the other one is probably, it'll be another week or so. It's around 28,000. Now that can be changed because I did ask them to quote what predominantly the rest of the city downtown area is with some brick facade. And it would similarly match TDS across there. It's not written in stone or anything, it's just, you take that out and it'll reduce the cost. Interior wise, I did talk to Jamie a little bit at CDL and sent her the proposal to just do the basic interior, carpet, new ceiling tile, lights, that type of stuff. Make an egress out the back, move their counter and stuff, but it doesn't include all of the cabinetry and whatever shelving that they would need. This is just more of an interior remodel that the city would not be responsible for, but since it's our building, I'm in the middle of kind of helping with that.
Sure.
So, you know, it's looking at about probably 45,000. I would figure another 15 or 20, depending on the type of cabinetry, countertops, if they do something similar to what we have down in the second floor of City Hall. So.
Can you get us copies of those bills if you want us to address that facade improvement for the next meeting? We'll put it on the agenda.
Yeah, I wanted to have as many together as I could
Yeah.
to give everyone that. I just wanted to get everybody in their mind a little brief. And this, I didn't have any of these numbers to go in to next year's budget unless something can be done in this year that I don't know, so.
Okay. So can you break those down though? Like, so
Yes, I will.
windows is this much, doors
Yep.
is that much, okay.
Well, as far as doors and whatnot, or,
There was one front door, wasn't there? that-
yes, front
okay.
doors and windows.
Yeah, so if we could maybe just get a breakdown of door, windows,
Oh.
you know,
Okay.
the rest of it.
Most of it's just, this one give me the lump of the overall
Yeah.
construction, so I'll have to ask him
Yeah,
to
please.
break that down. Unless someone has questions for me.
Anybody have questions for John? Any other department head reports? Okay.
Okay. For the Treasury Department, we have our new deputy treasurer in training. We did our tax roll that was taken over the county. They called and said our tax roll is balanced. To go ahead and issue the 10% withheld. And since then, I've already received the check for the settlement from the county. Usually we get that sometime the end of May, 1st of June, so they are really quick with that. So other than that, we've been working on the budget diligently. So all the department heads have been really good about detail and getting their figures together, what they need to request. And now we're just compiling it in the budget so we can present it and show the overall effect. So other than that,
Very good.
that's what we're working on. I have the second quarter budget comparison that I'll be presenting later.
Yep.
So, any questions? Things are running smoothly.
Good to hear, good to hear. And Devin has one?
So I have been speaking to Parks and Property Chairman, Mr. Porter, and I had all intentions of getting there. But I promised that I would look into that mini grant that I spoke of that we went after and have reached out, and I am being told that the funds weren't put aside for that mini grant this year.
Okay.
and keep on having those meetings, and I will be there.
Every month.
I know. Thank you. That's all I had for today.
Okay. I think that's all of our department head reports. Do we have any committee reports from our standing committee?
Well, since Devin already mentioned Parks Charter, I did have a meeting Tuesday.
Good.
I do not have the minutes because it's unusual to have a council meeting 2 days later, so I don't have those printed or typed up yet.
Okay.
But we did have a new member, or new resident come, Lynn Shelley was her name. She lives over in Prairie Lakes. But I will be presenting soon, before the end of the April, some expenditures for the parks on things that we want to do as soon as possible, and then I have to get with the budget for next fiscal year expenditures. We have some good ideas. I'm getting estimates on some things.
Yeah.
So I will have a better plan once I have a couple more estimates.
All right. We are working on that now, so sooner rather than later is
Yes.
better.
I've been telling myself for 2 weeks, I gotta get that over there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Business Affairs and Technology Committee is moving forward with some communication activities. I'm actually going to hold another meeting this coming Friday morning. And at the end of this meeting, I'm going to bring up a specific topic and ask for some council support to move forward on a communication topic that I briefly discussed at the end of last meeting that we had. So we're making some progress.
Great.
The website's continuing to incrementally improve as well.
Wonderful. Mindy, you got anything? Okay. Well, let's move right on down the line then to presentation and approval of the bills.
I move that we approve the bills as presented and the payment be authorized.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the bills as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. And now we're into old business. And I don't honestly think we have any discussion regarding the creation of DDA, but Larry, can you enlighten us on that at all? I've not talked to Bob Otke.
I have not had any recent conversation. I do know that subsequent to our last meeting, Bob was asked to poll the Planning Commission members for their position relative to a DDA support. That email did go out, and I'm assuming we will be meeting as a Planning Commission this coming Monday, and I'm sure we'll have the results of that, but I don't know what the individual member feedback has been back to Bob at this point in time.
So do you think it would be prudent for us to have the discussion regarding creation of DDA and possible workshop for DDA and possible approval for CIB to show DDA estimate of tax capture, all move them to the next meeting?
I'd suggest that we table those and move those to the next meeting, and specifically will request that Bob Otke attend, representing the Planning Commission with their position at that time.
Could you relay that to him at your Planning Commission meeting?
Yes.
So we'll do
Okay,
no
so
action taken on those items and move them to the agenda for the next meeting.
Fair enough, but you did have somebody have a direction. So under discussion to create a DDA, is it fair to say all council agrees to invite Mr. Otke, that the mayor's been asked to invite Otke for the survey at the next meeting? That's what was just
Council
said.
members, yeah. Can I get just a general consensus if you're in favor of what was just discussed? Shaking of heads is acceptable.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm going to put that no on it, but put no action taken
Okay.
on that and the next two
Okay.
items.
Very good, thank you. Thank you for your help with that. And now we're down to our fourth item of old business, discussion regarding zoning violation recommendations. We have received some recommendations from the attorney. I don't know that our ordinance committee has met in regard to making any changes.
It did get put to the
Directed to
committee,
that.
I remember that.
I'm sorry, Bob, what?
It did get put to the committee, we asked the committee.
Yeah,
to
we
look
asked the
into it.
committee to do that, but that would be Adams, and now he's not here today. You are both on that committee,
Right.
so you've not
It's
had any meeting there.
I know that outside the committee, there's been some preliminary, further investigation done relative to other municipalities within the county as well as the county's position, but we haven't formed a committee recommendation at this point.
So council, would you like to have the committee continue to work on that and bring us a report when they can, rather than just moving it to the next meeting? We will wait, or what would you like to do there?
I'd like to recommend that we have it on the next agenda and we'll hold the committee accountable to come forward with at least a preliminary recommendation.
Okay.
I think we've been carrying it long enough, we need to at least get after it.
So no action taken on that item?
So no action taken, but we will relay to the chairman, Adam Grass, and our two council members who are a member of that committee to bring us at least a preliminary recommendation by next meeting. Do I have all council in favor of that
Yeah.
request?
Yes.
Okay. And this next one, Larry, I'm going to throw right back to you. Discussion of 2021 city events.
As I think everybody's aware, we do have, as Devin commented earlier, the community yard sale as well as the cleanup. We also do have, in conjunction with the VFW, I should say, the Memorial Day Parade scheduled. We're hopes to have some feedback from Kyle, but I understand he's dealing with COVID right now relative to National Night Out. And I think the other open piece, Bob, was to see whether or not the Parks and Rec Committee has any recommendation, or maybe a little premature, but any recommendation relative to some summertime activities that we may be able to spin off from their work.
We do, I was gonna get at my minutes, but since, right now we're planning on having, after July 4th, we'll see what COVID does, but after July 4th, doing movies in the park. That's one of the things, expenditures by a movie screen and a movie projector, free to the residents. We have to, there's some things we still have to do with this, so, but that's our plan right now, and then to continue it yearly, have 5 movies in the summer, so, starting in May through basically summer. Everyone loved that idea. We're still investigating some vendors for food or popcorn or something, but the movie itself would be free to all the residents. So that would be something, and then we can maybe connect it to some of the other events we already have. So.
And the other one I was remiss in mentioning is that we do have the, Dory, correct me if I'm wrong, but the car and motorcycle show is scheduled for early part of September, in about the same time frame that we've done Perry Fest in the past.
It will be the third weekend of September.
Third weekend in September. So we'll have to have some additional discussion in terms of what other September type activities we'd like to build around that car and motorcycle show.
I think we'll have to see how this COVID rise number increase goes.
Exactly.
You know, it's hard to plan things when we don't know, but we don't know. I mean, there's some things we can certainly plan knowing that at some point we would do movies in the park.
Absolutely, we just don't want to,
Yeah.
as the park committee, we decided that we didn't want to deal with making people wear masks or social distance and something like that.
Yeah, well, it's
And we're
outside,
hoping-
right?
Right, and we're hoping that by then the vaccine numbers will be sufficient. So, but then again, it's all speculation at this time, so. hopefully plans, best laid plans.
Yep. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
That's great.
Just keep it on the agenda so that we continue to discuss it
Yeah.
as we learn more.
Do you want it on the agenda monthly or every meeting?
I suggest right now that we put it on monthly, so maybe our first meeting
Okay.
in May that we revisit it again.
Dory, do you have anything to add in regard to city events, since that's your bailiwick?
The citywide yard sales, we've already had a lot of people calling, they want to register right now, and I said, well, can you call back in April? We don't want to get it spread out too far. And of course, the cleanup week is people calling constantly. Car show's already going, they already have 20 people signed up for that. And it hasn't even really been promoted that much, so the events that are on the schedule, they're going pretty good.
Very good, thank you. Sounds like we're making some good progress there, even with our COVID restrictions. We can now move down to new business, and I do have some other appointments that I'll need council's consideration for. With changes in our council, we've also had to make some changes in our standing committees. And I'll just read off the members of each standing committee, with the first name being chairman. Finance and Ordinance, Grass, Galbavy, Lambert. Parks and Properties, Porter, Grass. And this has Terry
Wood on
Wood's
there.
name on there, so that's not right, and I didn't bring my sheet up.
Oh, hold on. There it is.
Got it? Thank you.
I didn't catch that one, so yeah, let me know.
Well, and that maybe was why it's wrong, because I don't, oh, no, it's Steve. Steve Wallace, there we go. So Steve Wallace is the third person, and then we have a public member on that committee, and that is George Dunn. So let me just reiterate that: Parks and Properties, Porter, Grass, Wallace, and George Dunn. Public Works, then Health and Safety, Galbavy, Wallace, Porter. Business Affairs and Technology, Lambert, Grass, and Galbavy. Personnel, Grass, Galbavy, Coffee. Labor Negotiations, Lambert, Wallace, Coffee. Police Commission, Lambert, Porter, Coffee. Safety, which is law enforcement, Wallace, Porter, Coffee. If I could have council's approval for those appointments.
You don't have a motion of that, but you can make one.
I move that we approve the appointments to the standing committees from the mayor.
Second.
Steve Wallace moved, Bob Porter seconded. Approval as those were read. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. And so our next appointment is to the Board of Review, and Chris McDivitt, who's been waiting patiently. Thank you, Chris, for coming tonight. Chris is a long-term member of our community. She lives at 313 Lincoln Street. She has agreed to serve a term to expire January of 2022 on the Board of Review. Steve has been advised and given me her approval, but I also need council to approve that appointment.
I move that we approve the mayor's appointment of Chris McDivitt to the Board of Review for a term to expire January of 2022.
Second?
It's been moved by Larry and seconded by Mindy to approve Chris's appointment as read. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion passes. Chris has also been talked to and agreed to serve. She's on the Local Officers Compensation Committee. That doesn't meet often. It does meet in odd numbered years, and so it only meets once every 2 years, but it's an important committee, and she has agreed to serve on that as well. Council, if I could have an approval for that appointment.
I move that we approve the mayor's appointment of Chris McDivitt, term expiring 2022 to the LOCC.
Mindy? Moved by Larry, seconded by Mindy to approve Chris's appointment to that committee as read. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
As opposed, no. Okay, motion passes. So that being done, thank you very much for that. Thank you, Chris.
Can I,
Yes.
because she was genuine enough to come in, give her oath real quick?
Absolutely. We're going to pause for just a moment and have Chris come forward, and Devin will administer her oath. I think right there will be good.
I'm gonna be nice and we're gonna fit them both in, so I'm gonna do all the work and you're gonna say that you accept. Ready? Right hand up, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, the Charter and ordinances of the City of Perry, and that you will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Board of Review and Local Officers Compensation Committee according to the best of your ability, so help you God?
I accept.
Do you mind sharing your table real quick and have her sign?
Go ahead.
Chris, can I get you to sign these for me?
Have to sign them, Chris.
Okay. And if you'd like, I have the oaths if you're new council, I could swear those in tonight too.
Why don't we
Would you
do
like
that?
to do that?
Yeah, since we're all right here.
And again, once she's done, gentlemen, if you want to come up front.
So Steve and Randy will also be administered their oath of office tonight.
Thank you so much, ma'am. If I can just have you guys come up front here.
Ooh, she's gonna swear it.
6 feet away, I guess, whatever you're comfortable and all that. I'm gonna do it the same way. I'll speak for you guys and you guys accept. Raise your right hand, please. Do you both solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, the Charter and ordinances of the City of Perry, and that you will faithfully perform the duties as elected council member according to the best of your abilities, so help you God? I'll let you put yours there, and we'll take yours over there, Steve, and let you sign. Do you have a pen?
Right here.
You can do that too. And again, each of you will have to catch up next week and catch up with me after this meeting, and I have keys and a list of items that we'll want for you guys and give you guys,
And
okay?
let's just show them our appreciation for their volunteer.
Thank you, Mayor.
And that round of applause was not for you, Joe, but you can come out. And we're going to now hear the presentation of the second quarter budget comparison and possible amendments from our illustrious treasurer, Joanne Gilpin.
Again, you should all have gotten in your packet
and electronically for the council, your budget comparison. Second page is a description of kind of where we're at and what's happening in this quarter. And then on the third page is the adjustments. And if you'll look to the far right, they all have numbers of what pages they're on, so you can follow along. So I'm going to quick read you my summary, and then we'll move on to the adjustments. Okay, in general fund, the revenues, one of the items is CRLGG. That's COVID Relief Local Government Grant. And for that, we received $10,645. The other line item that in general, that's way over, is reimbursement for expenses. $45,635. That is first responder hazard pay. This is from the COVID coming from the state, or is it federal, Kevin?
It's coming from the state.
From the state, okay, thanks. The other is an insurance check that we received for repair that was done to the Public Works barn. And we have coronavirus relief, which was another $6,000. So most of the departments in general are at 50% or less. There is one line item that's at 100%, and that is the insurance. It's around $38,000. We get one bill. The policy starts the 1st of December. So that would have been from 2020. And even then, when we put that in there, we're still $263 under budget for that one line item. Highway major and highway local, the funds are slightly decreased in the revenues. And when I looked at the form for figuring our revenues for this year, the same time period report from last year, this year, it's about $7,000 less. In other words, they're predicting that that's what they're going to send us, is about $7,000 less than what they told us before. So, okay. Expenses are well under budget for the end of December. Okay, this is going to change when the weather changes and the completion of paving projects. And that's for highway major and highway local. In sewer fund, the budget contains estimated revenues of 2 new connection charges. That's what we put in the budget, because you always want to put something in there. So far, we have 8 new connections. So I put in 7,000, and budget-wise, we've taken in about 26, almost 27. And that's just for December. That's not all the stuff that's going to get done this June, or more construction. I think we have, what, 4 more that we don't have?
They're digging a basement today.
Okay, so there's still more coming.
There's at least 3 or 4 lots that have been cleared, ready to get ready to dig.
So that's gonna, our sewer's gonna look pretty good due to that. And so the expenses are within reason for our budget quarter. The bond payments are 0 for right now, and that's because of the time that these bonds, the payment dates, are gonna be in April and October. So those will be showing up in the 4th quarter. Okay, capital outlay in the sewer fund has $69,000. That was a relining of the sewer pipes from the railroad track, under the railroad tracks to First Street and then down First Street. So a lot of times you just like to know what the capital outlay was. So I checked with John, and that's what it consisted of. The water fund is seeing the same increased revenues as the sewer due to the additional connection charges. In the water, there are extra permit charges and extra meter charges to the tune of about $7,000 right now, and that's going to be more once these other connections. And again, the bonds are at 0, and that's just due to the timing. Our motor pool, we're seeing benefits in the motor pool due to the lower price of gas. The expenses are within a range for the quarter. And the last fund, I should say, is City Hall Building Fund. Our City Hall, due to the COVID, has little or no revenues. We budgeted $7,000, of which we've taken in, I think, $100. So the line item for contracted services, we have $17,500 budgeted in that, of which we spent $4,200. That was for a cleaning service. It was a contract with the cleaning service to the tune of about $1,200 a month. And we decided that we didn't care for their quality of their service, so we have went to a cleaning person who is now on payroll and is doing a much better job. We are all very pleased with her. And overall, that's going to save the city about $4,500 from the contracted services to our cleaning person. So that's basically what's going on in our city for the second quarter. Now, I have 5 amendments that I would like to recommend, budget amendments, and I will read those for you, and I can give you a little bit of explanation. The first one is in General Fund 101-193-000-757-000. This is election supplies, and I'm requesting an adjustment, which is an addition of $2,600. The money is going to be coming from surplus revenues, and it's going to make our new budget line item $3,600, and that's on page 2. A lot of this, Devin told us, had to do with the COVID, for the additional separation, supplies that were needed, the extra people, and so that's why we have the additional request for the funding. The second adjustment is 101-269-000-970-000. This is for the McQueen House, and I'm requesting a $4,500 adjustment that's going to be coming from surplus revenue, which will make our new budget line item for the McQueen House capital outlay $14,300. Now, I'm sure this is not going to be the final adjustment for the McQueen House, seeing how they have other projects that are going to be done before the end of the year. So, for right now, that's just what I made it. We can revisit that. Okay, so 101, the third one, 441-000-702-400. Part-time cleaning. This is our new cleaning person that's being, her wages are being charged in the Public Works Department as part-time. I'm requesting $8,000 for paid out of surplus revenues. The total line item for her cost is going to be $8,000. That's on page 7. And the fourth one is 101-441-000-931-000. This is building and grounds maintenance. I'm requesting an additional $11,200 to be funded from surplus revenues, which makes our building and grounds line item in the Public Works Department $17,100. A lot of that has to do with, even though we received insurance money for the repairs, the accident that happened with the building, we still have to approve paying the bill or being over budget, which that's what this does. We did receive, I believe, about $15,000 for the insurance for this repair. And the last but not least in our general fund is 101-923-000-960-000. This is something called drain at large. When the county does a drain like the Spalding drain or Perry number 1 or Looking Glass, we also receive a portion, an at-large portion for the city itself. And our amount this year was $519. And so I'm requesting an adjustment of $600 paid from surplus revenue for a total of $600, and that's on page 8. What happened in some of the other funds, some of the other departments, it's over supplies, under equipment, over telephone, under wages, over, so as long as at the end of the day, that whole department is under budget, we're good. I can offset some of the other overages by some of the underages in the other fund. But in this drain at large, that's the only thing in there. So if we don't make an adjustment to put additional funds, because there was none to start with in this fund, when it comes up on the audit, it's going to show as a negative amount, even though it's only $519. So if we can fix it, we'll fix it. So my total request is $26,900 in budget amendments, which is going to make our new budget expense total for general fund $1,235,133. So again, this is only second. We still have third and fourth quarter, but our numbers look good. So, any questions? I know it's a lot of information to cover. As you look through the budget, these that are darkened are the ones that we made the adjustments for. So they're pointed out for you. And on the top of the pages, you have the column total, so you don't have to flip back to see which one it was and flip forward, and the numbered pages are on the bottom.
Joe, does it matter, I know if we're going to be making a motion here, does it matter if the page numbers aren't right? Because the page numbers,
Is it off?
some
No,
of these is off.
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Which one's off? 7?
The second one, McQueen House, is actually page 6. And the building and grounds, that fourth one is actually page 8. And
Oh, you know what, I
drain
did
at
this
large
from the
is
prior one.
page 9.
I
Yeah.
did this from the prior one,
Yeah.
and then when I put the page
Yeah.
numbers in.
And if it doesn't matter, that's fine.
No,
I
just as
didn't
long as this,
want it to be
the general
the
ledger number
Okay.
and the amount
Yeah.
is
All
right.
right.
So I apologize for the confusion, everybody
No.
had one page number to it. And that's all I have.
Does anybody have questions for Joanne?
Oh.
Is there anything else we should be aware of, Joe?
Just a little bit of information for Mr. Porter. In the Parks and Rec, we put $6,000 in this year,
Correct.
of which we spent 0. So that
Right.
$6,000 is still in your budget this year.
Right, that's why I'm going to present
Okay.
something before the end of April to spend some of that.
Yeah, okay, so, anything? Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for coming in. Council, do you have any discussion regarding this request for possible amendment?
I move that we approve the following second quarter budget comparison and amendments as presented by the treasurer.
I'll second that motion.
Steve? Been moved by Larry and seconded by Steve that we approve the following second quarter budget comparison and amendment. Does that have to be read, Devin?
As
As read by
Your treasurer-
Joanne,
your
the treasurer.
Yep.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion passes. Thank you. The next item is possible extension of the emergency paid sick leave. There's information regarding that in your packet. Is there any discussion or questions regarding that anybody wants to bring forward?
I have one discussion if you, the details of it, I'll try to answer some basics of it. But in your resolution, if you do consider it, your effective date, I would recommend to just begin as of March 1st to retroact according to this to be able to accommodate employees in the situation.
Okay, March 1st? Can we entertain a motion for that extension of the emergency paid sick leave, council?
I move that we accept and approve the following resolution, whereas the benefits of additional sick leave and extended family and medical leave were provided to employees pursuant of the Family's First Coronavirus Response Act. Said benefits have since expired pursuant to the FFCRA December 31st, 2020. And whereas the city desires to continue to offer city employees the additional benefits provided pursuant to the FFCRA of sick leave and expanded family medical leave through December 31st, 2021. Therefore, it is resolved that effective March 1, 2021, the city hereby continues on its own initiative to the aforementioned benefits under the FFCRA of sick leave and expanded family medical leave through December 31st, 2021.
We have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Bob, seconded by Larry, that we approve extension of the emergency paid sick leave as read by Bob. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Now, we heard about the USDA grant, and that is for the police car, the vests, and we are going to approach these separately with separate motions, if that's your pleasure, as far as the police department and the, is that right? Am I
No,
reading that right?
no.
Because I'm not
The
seeing.
public hearing was for both.
Okay.
And although the submittal, we might not be approved for all, they're
Okay.
going to approve the overall application of a total of both departments.
Okay.
Is what they're going
Okay,
to.
I'm sorry,
consider?
I misspoke. So we will be looking at approval for the entire grant in one motion. If we have any discussion regarding that. If no discussion, what is council's pleasure regarding the USDA grant?
I move that we accept and approve the resolution that supports the USDA grant as presented by the city clerk.
Do we have a second?
A second.
It's been moved by Larry and seconded by Mindy to approve, to support the USDA grant as submitted by the clerk, deputy treasurer tonight. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Possible adoption of the resolution for commitment to the MDOT grant.
move that we accept and approve the resolution that commits funding for the MDOT grant as presented by Superintendent of the Department of Public Works.
Second.
It's been moved by Steve and seconded by Larry that we accept and approve that grant application as presented by DPW Superintendent. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by nay. Motion passes. Next on our agenda is the possible adoption of zoning amendment number 352 regarding signs. Now, this has been an ongoing process for our new guys. You might not be aware of that. And we've had all the appropriate meetings and readings and so forth. So we're now to the point of possible adoption of that zoning amendment number 352 regarding signs. Council, do you have any discussion regarding that, or we've pretty much discussed out?
I think we're set.
All right.
We don't need to reread it again, just for clarification for Steve and Randy. It started as a we'll talk about that a little later, a moratorium on the A-frame sign portion of the ordinance. And as our standing committee of Finance and Ordinance got into it, we elected to pursue a rewrite, basically, of the entire sign portion of the zoning ordinance. That was read in its entirety at our last meeting.
Any other discussion? Can we entertain a motion regarding that?
I move that we adopt the zoning ordinance amendment number 352, an ordinance to amend the sign ordinance, which was read at the March 18th, 2021 council meeting.
Second.
It's been moved by Larry and seconded by Mindy to adopt the zoning amendment number 352. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The next item is related to this because now that we do have a new amendment regarding those signs, we can, at this point, decide to rescind the moratorium because we can't have a new ordinance that addresses it and a moratorium that sets it aside at the same time. So anybody have any discussion they want to have or questions they might want to ask about that motion? Okay, we'll just look for someone who's willing to make that motion.
I move that we rescind the A-frame moratorium declared at the October 4th, 2018 meeting.
Second.
Been moved by Mindy, seconded by Larry, that we rescind that moratorium. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nay indicate a negative. Don't hear any of those, so motion passes. Well, that's wonderful. That was on the books way too long, 2018. So that's great. We're making progress. On to the next agenda item, which is concerning the McQueen House, possible lead levels there. Bob, would you want to address that since you're the one who investigated that?
Yes, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I can do most of it from memory. The laws state that lead levels have to be tested below a certain amount if it's a child inhabited or a child care center. So if you have someone living in the house that have young children under 6, or if you're going to have a child care center there. So basically it says any children under the age of 6 cannot have more than, and I believe it is 6 hours of exposure in any residence that has lead level. So I was concerned because the Historical Society came to us and wanted some money for the plaster repair, or they were going to do plaster repair. One of the issues was lead. So that lead's a big topic, and I investigated it. I did get a couple estimates for someone to test it and that stuff. So I don't know with the, thank you, with the law pertaining to the children, I don't know if we need to or want to, but I'd rather personally err on caution to make sure. And then there's other things we can do outside the home to encapsulate the lead that is probably in the soil from the years of the painting of the house. So I don't know what council feels about testing or finding out about it with those, knowing the rules or the laws.
Reading through this as you sent it, I did read where at one point there was a recommendation made for the dust to be tested after work was accomplished.
Yep.
And I don't know, is that something we're going to talk about tonight too, or are we going to address that?
This company here, what they would come in and test to see what the lead level is, if it's there. I don't know if it is, because I don't know what previous renovations did, if they abated it or what they did. But I do know anybody doing the work is supposed to, and I'll get this wrong, be certified RRP or something like that. So they're supposed to know all the procedures and precautions they're supposed to take. I don't know, we didn't investigate that with the contractor that the Historical Society hired. So I don't know if that's been handled or not. You know, if it was quickly asked, I don't know. I can't answer that question or even address it.
Do you think?
But after the work is done, I think it might be prudent for us to check.
Yeah.
And make sure everything was cleaned correctly, and there is the lead levels. There is no safe lead level. That's, everyone knows that. But as a city, I just worry that we may open ourselves up for future liability if we don't at least be prudent in our testing and assessment of what we have.
Yeah. I know there's always been the presumption for any house that has any paint in it that was manufactured prior to 1972 to just know that there's lead in there, because they put lead in paint prior to that. They quit doing it then. So if you were talking about a house that was built in 1990, there would be no lead unless somebody was doing something that would cause it to be there. So in that case, yeah, you might want to test. But I guess in my mind, I'm wondering, do we need to test to find out if it's there? With the age of it, I would just assume it's there. Would it not be prudent to say, yep, it's there, but when they're done with their renovations, then have that dust level checked to see at that point what lead level is in the dust? Or I don't know.
I think that would be sufficient. I just want to make sure that we do have some sort of baseline.
Yeah.
That we know, because the hope is and the plan is for the Historical Society, as I understand it, to open it up to the public.
Right.
So the likelihood of someone being there for more than 6 hours at a time under the age of 6 is probably low.
Right.
But there's still possible.
Sure.
If they play on the carpet or whatever. So I think that we can wait until the renovation inside, the painting, all that stuff, the sanding of the drywall, and whatever they're doing with that is done, and then test it. Then we have a baseline to go off of.
Yeah.
And say the levels are at 10 million per thousand, or whatever it is, then we got a problem.
Because
or
if we,
it's acceptable.
If we test now, and then they do the renovations, it's going to be different. And they're not opening the house until that's done, so there wouldn't be any children or anybody but workers in there until after the renovations are done. At least that's what I understood.
That's my understanding as
Was there
well.
anything put into the proposal of doing the renovation? If they found any lead paint, or to cover it, or to
Right.
abate it? Or,
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So there is something going on,
Yeah.
and we want to test it after, so he's going to get quiet.
So there's gonna be more front of the house over time, does this need to be tested every time they do work?
If they're disturbing the levels that would have lead in them, yeah, it would.
Even though it's not a daycare center?
Like Bob said, if children are going to be in there, if they're going to be there longer than 6 hours, it definitely needs to be done. It might be prudent to err on the side of caution. If they're doing work because, like in this case, they're doing work because there's 2 gaping holes in the ceiling. So it's been disturbed. There's dust that's coming down. In that lath and plaster that they put the plaster against when they built the house, if I understand correctly from previous research, that plaster that's put in with the lath had lead in it too. So that's, you know, got to be sealed, and that's what their contractor has said he would be doing by putting up new sheetrock or drywall that would seal what's up there,
Encapsulating.
But if they were going to do some work that brought more of that down, or if they were repairing a wall, let's say there was water damage and they had to pull off the old coverings like the wallpaper or the lath and plaster in a wall, yeah, that would disturb it again, and then at that point, after the work's done, we should probably test it again just to make sure. But that would be the dust test.
Well, I think it's a basic same test.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not an expert at
Yeah.
it at all. So if and when they decide to renovate the second story,
Right.
they would have to do something
Yeah,
then.
right.
I know they're just doing the walls and the ceiling now, and then whatever's on the floor, it's been, I can't remember if there was carpet or area rugs or what, but those things, if they're gonna be moved or disturbed in some way, it's gonna release any more dust that could be there, so I guess my biggest concern is that to make sure that any contractor working in there is certified, at least one person
Right.
is certified in working with lead, around lead in old houses. And then, just as a city, we should test it. I suggested to the Historical Society when I was there about the trees, that grading the outside of the house up to the foundation and putting grass instead of plantings will help encapsulate any lead that may be there, because I guarantee you they scraped the house over the hundreds of years it's been there.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's probably something in the soil. I can't guarantee that, but I would say that probably is. But that's one way to encapsulate that, is cover it with soil, whatever amount you need, and then have turf, grass right up to the house and no plantings that keep people away from playing in that.
And again, not being a daycare, not being a home where children are living and going outside with their shovels and spades. I mean, they're not digging in the dirt, they're not, you know, kids put everything in their mouth, they're not eating the dirt. But still, it's a possibility, and I think we do need to, again, err on the side of caution. High lead levels in children can cause mental impairment, and heaven forbid that would be caused because we didn't.
We didn't spend $1,200.
Yeah.
Well, I do agree that you can err on the side of caution, but should we, since it isn't a somewhere anybody lives or a daycare or anything like that, can we talk to the attorneys and see if there's something that can be written up and like a disclaimer, I guess you want to say, if you're going to go in this building, you got to know this stuff, it's always going to be there.
Sure.
I do agree with testing it to a point too, but, and getting a baseline, so maybe that might help your disclaimer too, just get it done once.
Right.
It's always going to get opened back up with any work you do.
Right.
But I do agree with Bob of saying, get a baseline and then present it to legal and then have a disclaimer, something right there on the house. So then you do know.
So allow the work to be done and then test. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I think that would be fine.
Okay.
And we'll have to just, I think there was this was not the only estimate, I just don't have all my notes in
Yeah,
front of
there's a
me, so-
bunch of stuff here.
Here.
So,
If you want-
so whatever ones that we want, we can readdress it when they're ready, they're done, and we can have them tested again, or do it then and not again, because they haven't done it yet.
How come I'm walking over here?
I don't know.
I'm way
You
older
didn't
than you.
have to. You could just roll your car over here. There'd be a
Yeah,
chair
and a
over
rolling
there.
chair. Well, council, do we have more discussion? Or do you have something in mind that you'd like to do concerning this matter?
Bob, you said you had more quotes. Is this the only one that we have?
We got two. One's from this PM Environmental. He's $1,200.
Right.
And then the other one's from, I'll get the right name wrong, Manic Smith.
I have it, I'm sorry.
On the back, it's $1,500. One of these, and I don't remember which one, lives either in Perry or just outside of Perry, might be in the township, and I can't remember which one I talked to. I talked to several. Believe me, it was a very arduous endeavor because the state has a list of people that are certified, and I got a call back from 3 people after I called like 8 or 9. So it was some of them didn't renew their license and things like that. So, and then I got one that was just outrageous. It was like $5,000, and I kind of just threw that one away. So.
The work is either in progress or soon to start. It hasn't been started yet. So if we're going to do the testing after the work's complete, we don't absolutely have to make this decision tonight. It's up to you, council, what you'd like to do.
Did they tell you how long your proposals will be valid?
One of them sent me an email today, actually, and I said, oh, we had a meeting tonight, and I'd let them know what was going on with it. One of them, I think, did have like a 30-day or something on here. We can just have them re-quoted after when we're ready. I can send them both an email saying, we'll have this done as soon as the renovations are done, so we know what the levels are afterwards.
And just get new quotes at that time?
Yeah. Ask them to re-quote it, or if they'll, honor their ones that they already gave us. I don't see it skimming through here. I don't see their limits on it. Most of them are 30 days. That's the general rule of thumb on any kind of estimate or quote.
I have a question. If there is lead found in the house, which 99% that's what's going to happen, what are we going to have to do about it then? Just paint?
Clean.
Or
No, we just clean. You clean it up, you clean it out, and then they test again and see what the level is.
when you
It's-
say clean, just cleaning?
Yeah,
Soap and water.
soap and water.
Soap and water to
Yep.
clean the lead dust off?
Yep.
the
Yeah,
paint?
because the dust, it sits there, and then say, the biggest thing, one of them I was talking to, and again, I apologize, I can't remember which person I talked to about this, but he said that the biggest thing is on windowsills. So the dust will collect there, and if they don't clean it well enough, a small child will come up and always look at the window, and then that dust then
Yeah. Or-
goes in the mouth and the nose or whatever,
I
eyes
was
or
gonna
whatever.
say,
So,
this $1,200 would go a long way towards cleaning. I mean, if we want to just assume that it does have lead and go ahead and act like it does, do all the cleaning or painting or whatever, this $1,200 is going to go a long way towards doing a lot of that. So we're going to spend $1,200 to find out something that we already know,
we assume.
pretty much. You got to
We
know
assume,
that
yes.
that's what they're going to find.
Well, that's where my question was, because I did not have the conversation with the contractor that the Historical Society hired, nor did I have a conversation with Billy if he asked this question as the president of the Historical Society. Are those contractor he hired, is that contractor he hired certified? Because they have to hold, stand up to a certain level of requirements to do and their, you know, to keep their license. So, and they're supposed to follow certain procedures in cleaning and all that stuff. So if that person is, then we can hold them accountable for being cleaned correctly. If they're not, then it really falls back on the city because we own the house.
Then to clean and test.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't they have home lead tests that you can buy at the store?
No,
And pull the stuff out
No.
and.
no, not that I know of. I've never seen a
And you can
home
test it
lead.
yourself. My daughter's house.
You can
was
test for other stuff, but
contaminated
not
with lead,
lead.
and so they had to, everything that she tested positive.
You do have there is a self-test, but do we want to take the liability in our hands and say that whoever did it read it incorrectly, positive or negatively, and then someone gets sick from it and we don't have anything that shows exactly. That's what I worry about. You know, there's people in Flint going to jail for this, so you know, it's very much a hot button topic.
Well, I'm hearing a lot of not sures. I guess I would suggest perhaps that I do shoot off a few questions to the city attorney, get his opinion.
We might want to start putting it in every bid that we do, any work that goes into it, they got a factor test into it, and then it's on the contractor.
Yeah.
And takes it right off our
Yeah,
plate.
right, and we could check in with Billy, the Historical Society, and see if that contractor is certified. If he is, then the liability falls on him. If he's not, then it comes back to us, in which case, then we can decide, you know, which
And
company we
definitely-
want to have do the testing. But if that could be acceptable to council, I'd be certainly willing to ask those questions of the attorney, ask the question of the Historical Society, and move this item to our next meeting. What do you think?
I would agree with that, and probably the one add might be, we just formed a small committee to work with the Historical Society. It may be worth the committee having a discussion about
Okay.
the what-if next steps.
Yeah.
And is that currently written in the existing contract, there's a contract that, of course, the Historical Society is undertaking with the drywall right now, is it a certified lead abatement contractor or not? So we
Okay.
kind of know what's going to
Okay.
be confronted with us.
Any other items you want to have me check out with people? So our committee will meet with the Historical Society. We'll find out the answers to those questions from the attorney, find out about the contractor, and then move this possible approval to hire for testing to the next meeting. Do I have council
Yes.
approval on that? Okay. Okay. Our next item on the agenda is to look at possible approval to hire a grant consulting service. We have some information about that.
That was something else I investigated.
Okay,
And we're looking at a DDA and spending a bunch of money on doing that, and no one has really answered our questions about what is the benefit of the DDA, you know, can we apply for grants without the DDA, so on and so forth. So I was just curious on what to spend $13,000 on a DDA, plus whatever it is. What would it cost to hire a professional grant writer to manage and write grants for us? And it's fairly reasonable. The one person that did I got some information from, again, it's really hard to get information from people. People are very busy. He was $30 or $40 an hour. He also said, since we've already applied for grants in the past, so the city employees could start the process, and he would edit it and make sure that it hits all the bullet points that the people are looking for who give the grants out. And that could be, we could do a contracted base, or it could be an hourly base. So that was just something I wanted to bring up as a discussion. If we're gonna spend money, maybe we can save money. And we haven't had many business people, if any, that I know of, come forward and say, yeah, we really want this DDA. We've been asking for that. So I don't know if the interest is really there. And I'm on the fence. I have no opinion either way of a DDA. I don't know.
Yeah, we're still really seeking information. That's what the Planning Commission is going to be meeting about Monday night at their meeting and discussing that. They've been doing some emailing, if I understand correctly, about those questions. And we hope to have more information regarding basically what we said to the Planning Commission the last time Bob Atke was here, and I'm going to say a month ago, maybe 6 weeks, was based on the attorney's recommendation for the boundaries of the DDA, do you still want to pursue council's approval to pursue a DDA? Because at that point it was like, I don't know, maybe we don't even want to do that anymore.
Correct, it was just downtown.
Yeah.
And my recollection of that conversation when he was here was he was going to basically survey the downtown businessmen,
Right.
business owners, and see if there was, what the interest was.
Right.
So we can continue.
And we haven't had a report back since then.
Correct,
So,
and this,
Yep.
it's just kind of going on, and this
Yep.
was just information.
yeah,
So we have an alternative idea perhaps.
yeah,
Instead of spending an outlay of this much, maybe we can get similar results with less expenditure.
right. Well, there wouldn't be any huge outlay at the beginning. It would just be per grant application.
Correct.
Yeah,
Because I know everyone needs grants, like this grant for the police car, the equipment for DPW, Parks and Rec. There's, if there's grants available, yeah, I know Devin put one in last year for the doggy duty containers, and we didn't get it. Is there a reason we didn't get it? Because we didn't put the word whatever, I don't know. Believe me, I'm not a writer for any stretch of the word. So,
Did he give you any percentage?
I have a whole, I don't know how many I printed of that, but,
this one.
yeah, he gave us,
Do you need this one?
I give it. Yeah, this is the person I talked to, he's fairly local. He did not give me, he has a resume and some, things on there, so.
I just wonder if in your conversation that he said, I got a 25% more approval
No.
rate or anything like that. If it doesn't,
I did not press him on that. My first objective was just to get basic cost, a budgetary cost. What is that? Because when I did research online, on the internet, it was, anywhere from $30 to $500 an hour. Of course, the person charging $500 could say, oh, I just got this grant, I got that grant, whatever. So, no, I didn't, and this guy was
I don't know
local.
if there's a way you can do it.
Correct, and I don't know, this person was local or fairly local, and he's willing to come to a meeting or Zoom in the meeting to have any questions anyone may have. So,
I think if we got a big list of grants to look at, and
Do you think it would be prudent to wait until our next meeting to see what the Planning Commission's planning?
My position would be that if in fact the DDA doesn't move forward based on the Planning Commission's recommendation and council's agreement, I'm in full support then of a major investigation into what the appropriate grant assistance would be for us as a city. So we don't lose out on some opportunities and get the right people helping to put the grant information together.
And I absolutely agree with what Larry said. I would like to see what the planning commission is going to ask the council to do in relation to that DDA. And if we are not pursuing that, then definitely this. But I think we need to see what that plan is before we can go to Plan B. But
I agree.
what's everybody else?
Mayor Hammond,
Yes.
going back to you, Bob, when they give you your grant packet, they give you the bullet points of what they want, and then Keno worked with me, so like if we chose to have somebody help us, like if I was to do the bulk of the work, and John has done also grants, it is so time consuming, and so I think like, I don't know what that means like to start it, because like if we fill out the information, then we're basically doing that grant. And-
Right, they would just, what he said was basically they'd edit it, make sure all the wording is right, because if you don't write for a living, or really have that, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, if that's not your career in a sense, you may miss something, it may not read exactly how they want it. Then also in some grants, there's management required past the grant, so they'll do that stuff as well. So, and that's I had a 15, 20-minute conversation on the phone with him. He emailed me his information. That's as far as I got with that. That was, like I said, I Googled, grant writers in Lansing, and he was the first one, not the first one that came up, but he's one I contacted, and I contacted a couple, no one else has returned anything, so.
Okay.
He is interested, and I'm not saying I'm sold on him, I don't know him from Adam, so, this
Well, I
is
just
just one.
wondered about follow-up as well, because there was like a lot of follow-up, and there's, like how, I guess a question for whoever would be doing that work is, are they going to be doing the follow-up, are they going to be keeping track, are they going to be the contact
Correct, that's
person?
exactly what he said it would be, part of it, that would all entail of that. So if we get to that point, then those are the questions we'd ask him to come to either virtually or in person to a meeting, and then we can ask those questions so we know what, if it's gonna say an average of 10 hours per grant, what our $300 is gonna get us per grant.
Joe had.
And then to Randy's question, maybe he can give us a percentage of increased probability.
I think
My
Joe
question
had
is
something
directed
to
at
input.
Dennis. Is like grant assistance in writing the grants, is that anything that would be available through Michigan Municipal League as a service that they provide? Because they're all about cities, they're all about helping the cities get what they need.
To be quite honest, I appreciate MML, and if they have the work done, they offer it, but anything that you ask them to do, they charge us. I mean, I always hear, go check MML. I mean, unless you're looking for a policy that somebody has shared through MML and different things like that, every service that they create for you, they will charge us for. I mean, just the hiring, they charge us for it. Do they have grant writing classes and different things like that? Fine, but if you're asking what Bob has put on there as a consultant, I mean, it'd be no different than another, I mean, they might have somebody, but they're gonna charge us for it. It's not gonna be free. If that's your question, is that what you were trying to imply? I don't find anything with MML is free unless it's pre-work done and already out there.
Have we ever investigated as a community of, is there a grant writer, somebody in Perry that might want to get the job?
Well, I think
it's
that,
something we'll have to move forward with.
right, yeah, and I think at this point, as opposed to getting approval to hire a grant writer tonight, I think it's opened up discussion, opened up our minds to that possibility. And I would like to revisit this as a discussion after we have that report back from the Planning Commission. So perhaps we could move this item to the first agenda of May for discussion, and then we could get more people, even post interest in taking, interviewing grant writers and getting information from various people, even having them come in to the meetings, as Bob said, so we can ask them questions, get more details, and you kind of weed through them and decide, if that's the route we want to take. Is council in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay. So we will move this forward to the first meeting of May for a discussion.
So do you want to just table this item indefinitely and create a new agenda item as a discussion? Because
Sure.
I misunderstood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you
Yeah.
want to create a motion, council, to table this indefinitely, which will take this subject, and then under agenda items, you can put discussion of grant consulting.
Do you
firm.
need a motion to table this?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
That does.
We need a motion to table this, if that's our pleasure.
And then we add it to the agenda, correct, Devin?
Yep. We'll just
At
add
the
it
end,
as
we'll
a
add it to the
discussion on the
agenda.
May
Okay.
1st. Yep.
So I move that we table the possible approval of a grant writer at this indefinitely.
I'll second it.
So that's been moved by Bob and seconded by our new councilman, Coffey, to table indefinitely. All those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. So it will be on another agenda, most likely the first one of May. But we need to do some more information gathering. Feel free to jump on Google and see what you can all find out. Bring it back. Let's see what we can do with that. We have another item of new business, and that is going to go back to Bob Porter again.
Just a busybody.
You are.
This is for the trees. Everyone should have a report from Dr. Roberts on the trees, the two Austrian pines on the east side of the McQueen House. So his report, Reader's Digest version of the report, the trees are remarkably healthy for the age of them, or what they appear to be as old as they are.
Did he have any idea how old they might be?
No,
Okay.
it's too hard to
Okay.
age them. He did say the maple was not worth saving and it was a hazard, so I know John had already removed it. I called him on Monday and it was gone by Tuesday when I drove by, so thank you, John. But on the trees, he did confirm that it has what's called the Plodia tip light, and the best treatment of that is spraying. They do have an injection treatment, but it's not as good as spraying. I did find a company that's local, fairly local, Pure Green is the name of the company, and they will spray them for the Diplodia. I did get my cohort at work gave me an estimate, and I don't have it in front of me. It was a little bit more money than the one local, and he just does injections. So, and I don't think it's as good as treatment. But also it had some evidence of called root weevil. So the root weevil right now is very little. It was a small area, maybe 8 to 10 inches in space, that had evidence of the soil being churned up by the root weevil, which can be very dangerous to the tree. So we want to treat that now if we're going to choose to treat the trees. I think the trees are well worth treating and keeping them. So the estimate from Pure Green for the spraying, it's a 3-year program. It's $327 for all 3 years. And he called me again as well today, and I said, we had a council meeting, well, I'll let them know. And they do that, might do it at night, because they have to get the perfect, they want no wind, to attack it in the right direction. And then the root weevil is $55. So the total of that estimate, and one portion of that would be 3 years, is $1,182. And the spraying time, you do, just as the new candles, the new growth of the tree comes out, you spray it then, because that's when you want to again, that's when the fungus is most active. So, the tree is in, like I said, really good shape and Austrian pines are notorious for Diplodia tiploid. And those trees have very little on them. They do have it, but it's a minor case right now. I think we can get it under control and keep it under control to save the trees.
Just to provide disclosure, Bob is an employee of Great Oaks.
Correct.
If what you're telling us, though, and the way you said that, is to disregard Great Oaks's...
Well, he has, Great Oaks, Kevin Ashland, Great Oaks, has our on-staff arborist at Great Oaks. He had some good ideas. Vertical mulching, which is basically drilling holes in the soil, adding compost, fertilizing. The person at Pure Green, who I tend to, there's as many theories as you want to have, you're going to have. I tend to agree with this guy a little bit more just because I'm a little old school. I don't like the injection part of the tree, blah, blah, blah. He said to get all the disease and everything under control now, then in a year or 2 or 3, start fertilizing it. Let's get it down now, get it controlled, get the disease under control or depleted, then we can start addressing the root issues of fertilizing and enhancing growth. Where Kevin thinks we should do it all now. Address it now, this is how you should address it. And he's a certified arborist, he's good, but that's the, and he's also, Great Oaks is in Novi, an hour away.
Yeah.
This person's in Pure Greens in Lansing, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's fairly local.
Yeah. Well, the reason I bring that up is because you work there.
Yes, I was gonna
So
say.
we have to disclose that.
Yes, I am only an employee, I am not the owner.
Yes.
Bob?
Yes,
You did a great job having Dr. Roberts look at this.
thanks.
I work at Michigan State University. I work very closely with the campus arborist, and I also run the nursery there for landscape services. Everything Dr. Roberts says is good, perfect, and what Pure Green said was right also. Our arborist doesn't recommend fertilizing the Austrian pines because it has little benefit for them. But the spraying and the mulching and the cutting out of the dead wood was exactly what Dr. Roberts had suggested.
The pruning, the fine pruning, Billy Groback has somebody that was gonna take the one tree down, but he's gonna do some pruning of the other ones. I haven't talked to him, but I did tell Billy when I was there, Mindy was there, that, that person should just do some fine pruning. And of course, then I stress, you gotta rope the tree, you don't wanna spur the tree. So, because not everyone knows that, but you take that for granted. And if no one knows what spurring is, it's actually putting spikes on your boots and jamming them into the tree to climb up the tree. It's not very healthy for the tree. And it's very minimal dead wood in the tree, but it should come out just to help the health of the tree.
Just to put more fuel on the information fire here, Billy dropped off these just today, so I didn't have time to make copies or anything. But the Historical Society has indicated that they'd be interested in supplementing by planting some new trees. Not necessarily taking these down now, that if we decide to treat them. But he's gotten 3 quotes for that. So that might be something we'd want to consider in the future. But just so you know that they're interested in doing some additional landscaping, buying new trees and having them planted, and doing some other things. Of course, we'll need to be in touch with them when we're ready to seal in the lead in the ground with grass or whatever. But so I mean, they're very favorable to making it look really nice. And
Are you still recommending the root eagle even though it's?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it could, if there's very little, like I said, there's very little sign of it, and it's hard to detect, and it could explode overnight. So next year, it could be the whole tree, you know, so it is really bad for the tree, and Austrian pines have their own little, besides the diploidal tip light, they have other issues. We don't plant them at all anymore in the landscape, or very, very rarely, so, and that's why. Our landscape industry has a problem of overplanting a certain species. And then that species gets a disease, and they all die. And then we go, what did we do wrong? So.
They're wiping out a whole section of them down at the gravel pit.
Oh, are they?
Down on Grand River, that they all have it. I wondered why it was tearing down all these big trees, and it keeps it.
You see it a lot.
Huh?
You see it a lot, you can
Yeah,
go down,
it's
there's
done.
trees, it's called rhizome spirea, or red
Mhm.
needle drop. And once it gets a tree and kills it, they can spray it all they want to, but that part's still gonna, it's not gonna bring the tree back, it's
Yeah.
still gonna.
And he's replanting too, he's taking them down, but he
Yep.
got something from DNR or something like that, and replanting trees too. Not the exact same tree, but putting pines back.
Right.
Well, it's an old house, it's old stuff inside in the museum. I think it would be nice if we can preserve a couple old trees as long as they're not gonna fall over tomorrow. And I did notice that the arborist said, I can't guarantee that those trees won't fall, you know, but,
No, none of us can.
Yeah,
My
that's-
crystal ball's broken, so
yeah, right.
it's not gonna work. My opinion, if I haven't stated it enough, those trees are well worth saving the $1,200. None of our lifetimes would we replace those trees. You know, if we planted a tree today, even if it was an 8-foot tree, in none of our lifetimes will we see it that big. So, we need to save as many trees as we possibly can, especially ones that we think may have been in there for at least 100 years.
Yeah, yeah. Council, do we have any more discussion regarding the tree care proposal?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want a clarification. Bob, this Pure Green, you mentioned 3 years.
On the spraying,
It says 2 Austrian pines, 3 sequential sprays. Those are yearly,
Okay,
$100 and some a year.
$327 total.
for 1 year. Okay, it's not 3 years, because it says an annual tree cost of $1182, and I didn't, what you
That's-
said and what you might have meant, I heard 3 years
I'd have to
for,
see the.
for
you
the
have it there?
327, and I do not agree with that's what it is saying. I
What?
believe it's 3 sequential sprays in 1 year. Annual tree cost, $1182, so, but it
Okay,
does on the terms of the agreement on the bottom, check 1, 2, or 3. So I guess in your best interest, if that's what they told you, this quote might have been a human whoops.
I may have misunderstood what he said too, but I understood that they spray it, basically it's one time, 3 years in a row.
Well, I
Steve,
would-
do you
I
know
would
when they
advise
spray
I would-
tip light?
Yeah, we spray them annually in the spring,
One time a year, correct?
one time a year, that's
Yeah,
correct.
that's
But I do agree with Devin, this does say annual tree cost,
Right.
not for the
So
term,
we can get him
three-year
to,
term.
we can get him to submit a new one.
And then I would
And clarify
re-put
that.
it in front of council. I would not approve something that is wrong in front of council, it's
Yeah.
unfortunately my point.
Is he recommending that is it a 3-year?
We do it
That's
every
what
year.
we're not
Can you-
sure.
Can you kill it the first year and be
No.
done with it? Okay.
Let's,
No.
council, are we all in favor of getting a new proposal regarding treatment to clarify whether it's a one-time deal or if this spray
Ken.
happens yearly for 3 years and if that's included in the cost?
My only, I agree, I need to get a clarification. My only apprehension is that we may lose the window if we wait till next council meeting to approve it, then get to him. It may be too late to spray this year. We're getting close, it's within the next 2 weeks or so that it's gonna have to be sprayed.
Well, I
You
hate
can't
to
sign
have,
something that's wrong.
yeah.
No, I know, but how do we do this, time constraint on this?
You could approve the 1182 according to what it says, and then figure out later and amend,
I can amend it.
do an amendment at the next
Because our
meeting
motion
on your
is not to
motion.
exceed.
Not to exceed, but it's also a contract. So
Correct.
so you're not exceeding the 1182 according to the contract that you're asking the superintendent to sign. So my point is you could go forward with that, and if there is an amendment or
Then I
something
can
that needs to
we
be
can amend it.
changed, you're at least getting your first spray.
Correct.
And if
That's what
it
I'm worried
includes
about.
2 more years, well, then have them identify and bring a new contract
Okay.
to be properly approved and re-signed,
Okay.
is my opinion.
I agree.
And make
I
sure
don't
that
disagree with
it's,
that at all.
that it's a one-year term, because at this point, we're assuming what this is telling us is for 1 year.
Yes. and you
For
know
the
what happens when we
1182.
assume.
Huh?
You know what happens when we assume.
Do you think we could write that in on here by the total annual service cost? Just clarifying in our minds, this is for 1 year?
Yeah, that can be added, the 1 year
Yeah.
at this point, and then
Yeah,
again,
and then I'll
follow up.
I'll
just
get
to-
clarification and amend it
Yep,
next meeting.
yep.
Okay, in that case, you all heard what was discussed. What's your pleasure?
I believe we should table this to the next meeting. I'll make that motion.
Bob's concern is that we'll miss the window for trees.
It will be very, very, very close. I don't know if we can get them to commit to do it right away. I will withdraw that motion.
My proposal is that it's not that this is wrong, I just was hearing what Mr. Porter says, so you could approve the contract as is, and then if it is a 3-year contract, bring it back to the next council meeting to get the proper contract amended and supported. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that, yes.
And then just make sure we're checking it's only for 1 year. This is what it's being quoted for 1 year, and that's what your motion can state is for 1 year, unless Porter can prove otherwise by the company that it was a misunderstanding.
So Steve, are you interested in making that motion
Yeah.
for a not to exceed?
Correct. I move that the city accept the proposal from Pure Green for an amount not to exceed $1,182 for 1 year, and authorize the superintendent of DPW to sign the proposal.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion as made by Steve regarding tree care signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. And we can let the Historical Society know that at our meeting, at the Historical Society meeting, just so they know what the plan is. But we'll maybe talk to them at that meeting, Mindy, about their thoughts on the stuff Billy dropped off today, because I wasn't real clear.
I know he talked about replacing the one on the street
Okay,
that had to be taken
Okay.
down.
all right.
I'm not sure if he needs more than that.
Yeah, we'll find that
We'll
out.
find out.
Is there any other business to come before council tonight?
I'd like to raise an issue, not an issue, but ask for council support, and that stems back to my earlier committee report, in which I was talking about the fact that we're moving forward with enhancing communications, and I would like council support. I mentioned at the end of the last meeting that we were pursuing a city bulletin board located at Carl's Market, and we have had some additional discussion on that. We've now had an opportunity to talk to Sue about it, as well as Devin and Dory, and I would like the council's support to move forward and continue discussions with the store manager of Carl's in terms of pursuing and getting that in place, which would basically be a section of one of the bulletin boards that is currently there and, for all intents and purposes somewhat underutilized compared to past years, and that we would put some information at a glance on that board that would be used to spur some additional communication and interest on the part of our residents and those that frequent that. It's just one more step in communication as we enhance the website and discuss other methods of spreading information.
Yeah, we had a good meeting regarding that today. Dory and Devin have already come up with a template for part of that space, waiting for the measurement to come in.
Right.
We're going to set up.
I'll pursue that as soon as we're sure that we're okay with everybody here to proceed.
Council, do you have any discussion regarding that?
Have you looked into anybody possibly to save us some money? A sign company, if they get to put their little logo on the bottom of it too, they might do it for you for free, I guess, or at a discounted price, if they get to advertise on it too.
Well, it's something that'll be changed the way we discussed it today. It'll be changed every 2 weeks.
If you could just have a basic outline background that says like Perry, you know, something that's always gonna be there, and then a big white space or
Yeah,
whatever.
well, we talked about a banner, just a banner at the top, and then some general information with that being updated every 2 weeks. So to have a sign company do it, I don't think they're going to go in every 2 weeks and update all that stuff.
I'm saying just for the background, it's never gonna move.
Oh, the background.
So just a whiteboard, says Perry Community Board, whatever you want to put on it.
Yeah.
And then the blank space is where we put our stuff.
Yeah.
At least the initial thinking, as Sue said, would be to agree to have a dedicated portion of one of those boards with a banner and kind of cordon off that portion that would be strictly for city information. And it's kind of a trial balloon to see how well it's received and how well it works, and then if we decide that it's doing really well, we may along the way see some enhancements we want to make to it.
I think so. That board is pretty empty lately.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So
Okay
council,
with it?
do we have support for that project? Yes. Yes.
We'll go ahead and proceed then with management at Carl's Market and see if we can make it happen here in the next near term, maybe with an update at our next council meeting on status.
Do we have any other public comment? We always open up again for other public comment. Anyone?
Is the bulletin board on the inside the store?
Yes.
Where you're talking about?
Yeah, one of the two large boards that used to have a lot for sale and information.
Okay, I just was wondering where it was going to be.
Would be on the right-hand side as you walk into the store. It's a fair amount of city traffic, and just thought that might be a good communication tool.
Any other council discussions or observations council would like to make at this time? I would just like to say, I am so pleased with the amount of energy and effort that our standing committees are making. I'm just delighted with that, and I've had a lot of good feedback from the public in the way of emails or just comments as I see people around town about the website, how that's easier to use and they can, find stuff on it now. Information, the town hall meeting, we've had good reception of that, even though we haven't really had much participation, but we may, especially with the increased communication, that may get some people more aware of it. But I really like to thank you, council people, for all of your extra time on those standing committees and other committees that you serve on, so thank you for that. Any other discussions or observations from council? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting at 9:07.